that road trip as a team?
A lot of things. I'd say we got to continue to tighten up our defending a little bit. TCU presented some challenges the way their front five kind of rotated, moved bodies around. I thought we grew a lot throughout the game in terms of our communication and managing assignments, and matured there. But the importance of us communicating with each other, being connected, knowing our roles and responsibilities against a pretty good attacking, sophisticated team. I think we got to be a little bit better under pressure at keeping the ball. I thought there were some moments, and it was our first 2-game weekend, right? 2-game weekends on the road are hard. That second game on the road on the weekend is hard. So we were a little tired, and that might have, caused some of our possession issues on the Sunday in that TCU game. But we've got to be better at keeping the ball. This is a possession style program, and we want to have the ball more than we did on Sunday. But I think on the good side is we showed a lot of grit throughout the weekend. We showed toughness, both mental and physical. We came out of the UCF exhibition, feeling like we gave away some goals. I don't think we gave away any goals over the weekend. We protected the game, and we talked a lot about that going into the weekend, that sometimes this game is about not giving it away, not hurting yourself. And I don't think we hurt ourselves throughout the weekend. So, and then we learned about players, right? Who can step up and be big for us, right? Mamie Van Zanten as a left back had to come on because Claire Rain got hurt big time, right? Maggie Titano gave us 30 important minutes against TCU on Sunday. Ron settled in at the 6 throughout the weekend for us in Leilani's absence. Taylor Huff, she's going to be a big-time player here, and she certainly showed that, right? Jordan Dudley showing glimpses of what she can do. So Joe Ekagini getting more time in the midfield and showing what she can do in terms of being a two-way player in there. So learned a lot about, collective stuff, and then also individuals.
How beneficial was the 2 weeks, especially now that the team's all together for really the first time, having a true preseason as a group?
It's awesome. I heavily disliked our schedule coming into it, having this weekend off. But as I just told one of our players who's just dealing with a little bit of a nagging injury, I think this weekend off is a blessing. Gives Nesbeth another 2 weeks to rest. Jody came back from the World Cup exhausted, which is why she only gave us 1 half out of 4 halves last weekend, and totally understand it, right? Ekagini gave us all she could last weekend, but she came out tired, right? And so a lot of reasons, and then all the things we've talked about, right? We're still a new team. 40% of our team is new. And so it turns a 3-week or 2.5-week preseason into a 5.5-week or whatever it is, 5-week preseason, and prepares us for the gauntlet of September and October.
A more challenging, road trip for you guys to, start the year off. Again, finished 2-0, but as you mentioned, a lot of newcomers coming in, newer team. What did this weekend help you guys in discovering your team identity, gelling? How did it help with all of that?
Yeah, I think to be good, you need a lot of things, right? You have to be talented. You have to kind of know what you're doing and be connected and have a game plan, right? You have to have good leadership, right? You have to live through and deal with difficult moments, right? We had a difficult moment. We gave up a tying goal at A&M and a little bit of a ruckus crowd. How are you going to deal with it, right? Who's going to lead the group? Who's going to unite and gather the group in those tough moments? And then you also have to be physically tough, right? You got to protect your box, and then you got to win stuff at the other end. And so all those things are benchmarks of really high-achieving teams. And I think we faced all of those things, and we're able to talk about all those things coming out of last weekend. And like I said to the team after the game, right? You want to live through all of those, but we play so few games, and we're so RPI driven, you got to win games. And so, thankfully we have, Taylor Huff make a couple plays, Ekagini make a couple plays, right? Beata score a goal. Our defenders, right? Flynn and Gilchrist at the center of the back with Roque behind them and others in the back. Big time for us, allowing only 1 shot on goal at TCU. So you got to win games. And so to learn a lot while also getting results, all a big deal.
You mentioned the week off, and building the schedule. You weren't too happy about it, but now it's kind of coming in as a blessing and stuff like that. Where do you want to be by the end of this week off when USF comes in?
Yeah, good question. I think tightened up on a lot of the things we just discussed. Getting back to our possession kind of ways. Being a little bit more dangerous. I don't know that we were consistently dangerous throughout each of those 2 games, right? We scored 2 goals in each game, which not terrible, right? It's good. Both were good enough to win the game. But we didn't create many corner kicks, right? We weren't always putting both teams on their heels, right? So just in general, being a little bit more of an attacking on the front foot kind of team. And then also mentally and physically refreshed, all right? Because now we're staring down the barrel of 3 non-conference games, and then the following weekend is ACC play. So the gauntlet is in front of us. So tightened up on both attacking and defending things, but then probably most importantly, in a great headspace, right? And then a great physical place in terms of their bodies.
How's Claire doing and her injury prognosis timeline?
Yeah, so she tore her ACL and had surgery yesterday. All went well, and like all kids who suffer that injury, she was devastated. Right, whatever it was, 8 minutes into her FSU career, right? Devastating. But obviously our doctors are amazing, and Jerry, our PT, is amazing. Alora, our athletic trainer, is amazing, and she'll bounce back and she'll be great. But she's pretty sad right now. But we have an amazing team, and our kids are supporting her tremendously and have her back, and hopefully she'll be fresh and ready to go by the end of the spring.
Coach, going back to Mimi Van Zanten, when Claire got hurt and she had to be pressed into action kind of early on the road as a freshman, how do you think she handled it, and what can her skills bring to this team going forward?
A+ is how she handled it, right? If you factor all of the realities involved, right? On the road, 2 tough opponents, freshmen, right? Potential for deer in the headlights, in the back line, right? And she was automatically put against A&M's most dangerous player, right? And Mekhi McDonald is her name. And then TCU on the Sunday, the movement of their front 4 was a real challenge. So there's a sophistication to that game. She was phenomenal, right? Her athleticism, her 1-v-1 defending is really good, and she's actually kind of funny about it. Bobby, our assistant, does individual video, and he did video with her a day or 2 ago, and he froze it in one individual defending moment. He's like, how do you feel right now in this moment? And she kind of softly smiled at him and was like, pretty confident, right? And you love that, right? And her confidence dribbling with the ball out of the back. She got forward in both games a little bit. She's got to get a little better in her final third execution, but that stuff will come. Phenomenal. And again, then there's the conditioning element, right? Are you ready to do that? And she played, I think we took her off for 5 or 6 minutes on the Sunday, so she played whatever that amounts to, 165 minutes. Couldn't be happier. But coming out of the UCF game, right? She was arguably our best outside back in the UCF game. So what she gave us in those 2 games last weekend, having come out of that and lived through that UCF game, didn't really surprise me.
What's it like for you seeing a player Taylor Huff has developed into, knowing what she was as a high school recruit at your prior institution now?
Great. Great for her confidence. As good as she is, 50% of her body and brain knows she's good, and then 50% she's always questioning herself, right? And in that UCF game, and we may have talked about this last week, she was really focused on her defending and us being organized defensively, that her foot wasn't really on the attacking pedal a whole lot. And somewhere last week going into those 2 games, I don't know if it was conversations we as a staff had with her, or she had with herself, or all of the above. A little bit of a blessing, green light. You got to be Taylor Huff. You got to go play. And she played 180 minutes, right? I think she ran 16 miles on the weekend in the 2 games, and scored 2 phenomenal goals, right? And helped set up the 3rd goal, which sealed the game at TCU, and her ball in behind to Jody. So I think she's just scratching the surface and proving to herself that, okay, I was pretty good at Tennessee, right? And I earned All-American at Tennessee. Now this is, Florida State, and this is the ACC, and this is a national championship contending program. can I be as impactful here? And I think she's quickly learning that the answer is yes.
When she jumps in the portal and you've got the relationship already from high school, college, I mean, how excited are you to have the opportunity to bring her in here?
So here's how the story went. We were hitting refresh. I mean, the portal was open like November 1 through December 20th, something like that. So in general, we were hitting refresh on our phones every 5 minutes, right? So our team was stretching, cooling down at the College Cup the day before our Carolina game. I hit refresh, boom, there's Taylor Huff. I basically sprint over to Bobby and Aaron and Andrew and said, Huff's in the portal. And I was on a Zoom with her within an hour. And she made us sweat, and I'm glad she did now, right? She went and she looked at Duke, and she looked at Virginia, and she was talking to Notre Dame and Penn State. It wasn't a slam dunk situation, right? And I'm really glad that she went through that process, because didn't want her, and this is how we want it to be with all of our recruits. We don't want them to have any regrets. We don't want them to have any second thoughts. We want them to be 100% at peace when they decide to come to Florida State. And I know she felt that way, and pretty confident that she still feels that way.